In 1889, a British surgeon named Stephen Paget published a paper that changed cancer biology forever. He had been studying autopsy records of 700 women who died of breast cancer. And he noticed something that made no sense. Breast cancer cells were traveling everywhere in the body. They were in the bloodstream. They were in the lymphatic system. They reached every organ. But they only colonized certain organs: bones, lungs, liver, brain, almost never the spleen, almost never the kidneys, almost never the muscles. This was strange. If cancer cells are just floating seeds looking for anywhere to land, they should colonize every organ equally. But they did not. Paget proposed a theory. He called it the seed and soil hypothesis. The cancer cell is the seed. The organ is the soil. A seed only grows where the soil conditions are right. For breast cancer, the soil of bone is fertile. The soil of spleen is not. The cells arrive in both places, but only one place supports colonization. This theory was ignored for almost a century. Oncologists thought metastasis was a mechanical problem. Cells traveled through blood vessels. They got stuck wherever they could not fit. It was random. It was unpredictable. But in the 1980s, molecular biology caught up with Paget. And he was right. Metastasis is not random. It is a matching process between the biology of the disseminating cell and the biology of the target tissue. The cell brings specific receptors. The tissue presents specific ligands. If the receptors and ligands match, the cell colonizes. If they do not match, the cell dies. Bone marrow expresses a protein called CXCL12. Breast cancer cells that express the matching receptor CXCR4 are drawn to bone. They settle there. They proliferate. They establish metastatic colonies. Breast cancer cells without CXCR4 never establish bone metastases. Even if they arrive in the bone marrow in identical numbers, they do not colonize. No receptor match. No colonization. This is the molecular version of seed and soil. And it is the exact same mathematics that governs which business models succeed in which markets. Every business is a seed. Every market is soil. And the question of whether a company can expand into a new geography, a new customer segment, or a new product category is fundamentally a receptor-ligand matching problem. Consider Uber's attempt to expand into China. The ride-sharing model that dominated in the United States should have worked in China. Cars, drivers, riders, mobile phones. The mechanical inputs were identical, but Uber failed in China. It was not because the business model was wrong. It was because the local ligands were different. Chinese payment infrastructure ran on WeChat and Alipay, not credit cards. Chinese regulatory relationships required deep local partnerships. Chinese consumer behavior expected subsidy structures that American models did not provide. Uber's receptors did not match the Chinese market's ligands. A local company called Didi had the matching receptors. Didi colonized the Chinese market. Uber eventually withdrew and sold its Chinese operations to Didi for a minority stake. Same seed, different soil, different outcome. Now contrast this with McDonald's expansion into almost every country on Earth. McDonald's has adapted its menu to local tastes in every market. Rice bowls in Asia, vegetarian options in India, beer in Germany. McDonald's modified its receptors to match local ligands. This is not brand consistency. This is molecular adaptation. And it is the reason McDonald's operates successfully in over 100 countries, while many American brands fail in even a handful of foreign markets. The mathematical lesson from Metastasis is this: expansion is never a matter of copying the original system into a new environment. Expansion is a matter of modifying the system so its receptors match the new environment's ligands. Cancer cells that successfully metastasize do not arrive in the new organ as exact copies of the primary tumor. They arrive carrying specific modifications: upregulated receptors that match the target tissue, altered metabolism that matches the target nutrient environment, surface proteins that allow them to survive the target immune response. They are adapted metastatic clones, not identical copies. The primary tumor is the species. The metastatic colony is a subspecies. In business, the same principle applies. When Amazon expanded from books to general merchandise, it did not simply sell more products. It modified its logistics receptors to match the ligands of broader retail. When Netflix expanded from DVDs to streaming, it did not simply put DVDs on the internet. It modified its content licensing receptors to match the ligands of digital distribution. When a company tries to expand without receptor modification, it fails. Every time. This is why most corporate acquisitions fail. The acquiring company assumes that dropping the existing business model into a new market will work. But the receptors do not match. The colony does not establish. The acquisition is written down. This is also why platform businesses tend to dominate over product businesses in the long run. A platform is a system with variable receptors. It can modify its interfaces for different markets, different customer segments, different use cases. A product is a system with fixed receptors. It works in the markets where the ligands happen to match. It fails everywhere else. Now here is the investment framework. When you analyze a company's expansion potential, ask 3 questions. First, what are the company's current receptors? Not its products. Its interfaces with customers, suppliers, regulators, and infrastructure. Second, what are the ligands in the target market? Not what the target market looks like superficially. What does it actually require at the molecular level of business interaction? Third, does the company have the capacity to modify its receptors to match? Not the intent, not the strategy deck. The actual institutional flexibility to evolve its interfaces. Most companies that expand aggressively fail the third test. They have the resources. They have the ambition. But they lack the institutional capacity to modify their receptors. They try to metastasize by exporting their existing form. And they die in the new environment because no colonization can occur. The companies that successfully colonize multiple markets share a specific mathematical property. They treat expansion as receptor engineering, not as replication. They study the target tissue before they arrive. They modify their molecular interfaces in advance. They send adapted subspecies, not identical copies. This is the bio-flywheel framework for expansion analysis. When a company announces international expansion, ask whether it is treating the expansion as replication or as metastasis. If replication, bet against it. If metastasis, watch for the signal of receptor modification. That signal is where the alpha lives. If you want to apply this framework to your own portfolio, the Market Geometry Workbook includes an expansion analysis template in the companion Excel file. It scores each holding on its receptor flexibility across geographies, segments, and categories. Download it using the link below. And if you are watching this series for the first time, start from Video 1. Video 1. Why Therapies Fail. Video 2. The Math of Market Crashes. Video 3. The Fiedler Value. Video 4. Cancer Biology and Market Structure. Video 5. Adaptive Therapy. Video 6. The Mathematics of Dormancy. Video 7. The Warburg Effect. Video 8. Angiogenesis. Video 9. This video. Metastasis. In the next video, we explore the immune system. Why do some cancers hide from immune surveillance for decades, while others are destroyed within weeks? Why do some companies operate invisibly to regulators and competitors, while others trigger immediate defensive responses? The mathematics of immune evasion explains both. Subscribe so you do not miss it. This is advanced mathematics for everyone.